Hey there, class. I'm excited to talk to you about organization today. I will help you so much as you're crafting your essays and submitting them for peer review this week. I'm calling this slide presentation the Ibn Battuta disaster, organizing thesis-driven academic essay. So this goes with the story. When I was a junior in BYU, a history professor had us write an essay about Ibn Battuta, who's a traveler. And I wrote this essay. I thought it was wonderful. And then I received my grade on it, and it was a 78%. And I couldn't believe it because, I thought the essay was so great. I wonder if you all have had that experience too, where you really thought something was great and it wasn't valued very highly. So I came to the professor and just said, I'd like to understand my grade. And he said, well, look at your organization. Um, so we did. So I say, disaster struck when I heard the grade, but my teacher did something great. And so he sat with me and we looked at my organization and he taught me things I'd never heard before about, well, your intro should do this, and then the thesis should do this, and then your topic sentences in the next paragraph should stem from the thesis in order. Anyway, he was just teaching me things I'd never even heard. So I want to teach them to you now. Maybe it's a review for you, but maybe it's new. So when creating just a 5-paragraph essay, you have this kind of format. And so I just want to review that with you, and then we'll talk about how you can kick that out into a more fleshed out essay. Okay, so for a 5-paragraph essay, you're going to capture the attention in the introduction, and then you're going to have a thesis with 3 supporting ideas or areas of focus. That could be something like Mark Twain's Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court is clearly a realist piece because it X, Y, and Z. This, and this. So then you're going to flesh out those ideas. And so the very next topic sentence after that strong thesis is going to come from your point X, right? So supporting idea number 1, or X, that you've got a strong topic sentence stemming directly from that thesis in order, that first point of the thesis. You're going to have examples, you're going to have details, so that's analysis and source support. And you're going to conclude that thought and then transition into idea number 2, or your Y of the piece, right? So the X, Y, and Z. And you're going to do the same thing here, and then go into a powerful conclusion. In your conclusion, you'll restate the thesis, restate the general supporting ideas, and then end with a powerful conclusion or statement of significance. If you've been talking about Mark Twain's piece being realist and showing how it is, that's fine, but what has that done for your reader? So take a spin, think of a question that this might lead you to consider. If realism can exist in a romantic era, can't we also then, have, do you know what I mean? Like, just, you kind of have to just think about it. Okay, so what? Why, what do you want the reader walking away with after having read this essay? So that's what you want to have in the conclusion. And then I just quickly wanted to show you a student sample. Jennifer Daniel wrote an essay in my class a year ago. Let's see, that I'll just look at with you briefly. Let's see. And I don't know if it'll let me scroll up. There we go. Okay. Let me scroll. Okay. Her essay's in great MLA format, as you can see, and but I just want you to look at the structure, the organizational structure. Okay, she hooks the reader by introducing the author, the year, the title of the piece, and the main point, right? And then she moves our reader, she kind of funnels us to her main point in that thesis that she puts in the last sentence of her essay. Her thesis is, in order to please her husband, she keeps their house in immaculate order, so that's your X, serves delicious food, that's your Y, and disastrously decides to sleep with Otis to get the gold coins for her husband, that's Z. Okay, so then you look at her topic sentences and they tell the story of her thesis. So you look, Missy May loves Joe. One of the ways she shows her pride in her husband is by keeping their home in impeccable condition. Okay, that's that first point about keeping the house in immaculate order, right? So she restates that thesis point and then she develops it. And this is a simple point, so she doesn't spend a lot of time on it. She moves on to her next point. Another way Missy May shows her adoration for Joe is by preparing scrumptious meals. And again, you can see that stems from that second point about serving delicious food. And then we expect to see the next thing be about sleeping with Otis. And so we look at that next paragraph, and there it is. Of all the wonderful things Missy May does for her husband in her efforts to love him, she makes one terrible mistake. She capitalizes on Otis' lust for her to get gold coins for Joe. And then she develops these points Um, and then, and it's okay to obviously to move into other paragraphs, right? Um, this is still tied to that Z point, right? The plan is ruined as Jo comes home early one night, entering quietly through the back door so as not to disturb her. So it's just still developing this point because this is the biggest point she's making. Um, and then anyway, and then she concludes, and I want us to look just at her conclusion. In the end, Jo chooses to forgive Missy May and go back to the peaceful, happy life they shared. Both realize that Otis Lemons has no meaningful riches. Instead, they embrace the idea that familiar relations are the greatest riches of all. Missy May goes on expressing her love for Jo by creating a home for their family and cooking delicious meals, but leaves the gold coins on the road for someone else to and my screen is for someone else to find. Um, anyway, and then she's got the works cited page after that, so you can kind of see the MLA. She had that, and then I pasted the rubric at the end of it to talk with her about how she did with content organization, language, and source integration. So anyway, that's kind of some help on scaffolding. The most important thing I want you to come away with is that organization matters. Some people think, oh, there are so many different ways to write an essay. It's so nice when it's evolving or, wrapping up to get to the thesis at the end. And I don't like that. I mean, yes, that is a way to write, but it also looks like you just spent time typing until you finally figured out your main point. It doesn't look finished. So when I don't know, it's just exciting when you're thinking of what to write for your essay. What's your question as you read? And then your answer is your thesis. And you just develop these wonderful points with great organization and get a happy teacher and a great grade and all is well. So anyway, that's what I have for you. If you have any questions, post them in our discussion board in the questions and conversations.